I found my own texts, planning to escape my husband, but I don't remember writing them. I need to tell you about the night I found a message on my phone that changed everything. A message I wrote, but have zero memory of writing. A message warning me that my husband Daniel was lying about everything, that I'd tried to leave him before, that I'd forgotten. I'm Emily, I'm 34. And 3 years ago, I was in a car accident that supposedly caused minor memory issues. That's what Daniel told me. That's what the doctors said. I believed them. Until last October. It was a Thursday. Daniel was working late, like he always did on Thursdays. I was scrolling through my phone, half watching Netflix when I saw it. A notification from an app I didn't recognize. The preview text said, "Emily, if you're reading this, you forgot again. He's lying about the accident. You need to." My hands went numb. I opened it. The full message was worse. It was written in my voice, my exact voice. The way I text when I'm anxious, the typos I make when I'm rushing, even the way I use emojis ironically, then regret it. It was me, but I had no memory of typing a single word. "You found this before," it read. "3 times now. You always forget. The accident wasn't an accident. You were leaving him, you found something. And then you woke up in the hospital with Daniel holding your hand, telling you how lucky you were to be alive." I read it 17 times. I counted. Then I tried to screenshot it. My thumb hovered over the buttons. And the message vanished. Not deleted. Gone. Like it had never existed. The app icon disappeared too. I sat in our dark living room, listening to the refrigerator hum. And I realized something terrifying. I couldn't remember what I'd done that afternoon, or the afternoon before. The previous week was a blur of typical days that I couldn't actually describe. Daniel came home at 11 p.m. He looked exhausted, not just tired, but broken. I'd seen that look before, I realized. Every Thursday, I'd just never connected the dots. "Rough day?" I asked. He smiled. That perfect, concerned smile. "Just a lot of meetings. You know how it is?" I didn't. I'd stopped asking about his work years ago, because every time I did, he'd get this disappointed look, like I was being clingy, paranoid, unsupportive. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to him, listening to him breathe, and I tried to remember the last time I'd felt like myself. Really myself. Not the version of me that made Daniel comfortable. I couldn't. Here's where it gets worse. I started paying attention. Actually paying attention. And I realized my life was built on Thursdays. Every Thursday, Daniel worked late. Every single one for 3 years. When I mentioned it casually, "You sure have a lot of Thursday meetings," he laughed. "It's just when my team syncs with the East Coast." "You know that, Em." But I didn't know that. I had no memory of him ever telling me that. It was just a fact in my head, like it had been planted there. I started checking my phone history, not just texts and calls, the boring stuff. My location history, my Google searches, my photos. Most of it was normal, boring, grocery lists, weather checks, mindless scrolling. But there were gaps. Whole days where I apparently did nothing, went nowhere, spoke to no one. And when I tried to remember those days, I got this specific headache, right behind my left eye. Daniel had told me that was normal after the accident. "Just neural pathways rebuilding," he'd said. "Don't force it." I'd believed him? Why wouldn't I? He was so patient, so understanding. When I got confused about dates or names, he'd gently correct me, never making me feel stupid. Just helping me build a coherent narrative of my life, a narrative where he was the hero. I found the first physical evidence 3 weeks after the text message. I was looking for winter boots in our storage closet. Our house is this modest 2-story in Portland, nothing fancy, and I knocked over a box labeled Taxes 2019 to 2021. Papers spilled everywhere, receipts mostly, but also photographs, dozens of them, of me, not selfies, not pictures I'd asked anyone to take, candid shots, me at a coffee shop, staring at a laptop with an expression I didn't recognize, fierce, focused, angry, me getting into a car that wasn't mine, me standing outside a building I didn't know, talking to a woman with red hair and a serious face. I flipped them over. Dates were written in my handwriting, all from 2 months before the accident. I had no memory of any of it. When Daniel came home, I had the photos spread across our kitchen table. I told myself I'd be calm, rational, just ask him what they were. He walked in, saw them, and froze. For just a second, less than a heartbeat, his face went blank. Then the smile returned. Emily, where did you find those? Storage closet. The tax box, he laughed. That warm, patient laugh. Those are from your photography phase, remember? You were trying to document your daily life to help with memory formation. The doctor suggested it. I didn't remember a photography phase. I didn't remember a doctor suggesting anything like that. Who's the woman? I pointed to the redhead. Daniel picked up the photo, looked at it for a long moment. I don't know, sweetheart. Probably someone from your support group? You tried a few different ones before the accident. You were having a hard time. A hard time with what? He put his hands on my shoulders. Gentle, steadying. Emily, you're getting worked up again. This is exactly what Dr. Chen warned about. Fixating on gaps, building narratives around them. You know how your memory plays tricks. I wanted to push back. I had the photos in my hands. I was holding proof that something was wrong with the story I'd been told. But I was so tired. And he was so certain. And when I tried to access the feeling I'd had when I first spread them out, that electric sense of discovery, it was already fading, like water draining through my fingers. I let him put me to bed, let him bring me tea, let him tell me that everything was normal, that I was safe, that he would always take care of me. I almost believed it. It came on another Thursday, 3 weeks later. I was in the bathroom getting ready for bed when my phone buzzed. Same unknown app, same preview text. Don't tell him you saw this. Check the. I opened it in the hallway, heart hammering. The full message read, check the calendar app. Look at Thursdays, not your phone, your laptop. The one you think is broken. It's not broken. You hit it. Password is your mother's maiden name plus the year you tried to leave him the first time. You were right to be scared. He knows more than he says. I deleted it immediately, not because I wanted to. I was terrified of losing it again, but because I heard Daniel's footsteps on the stairs. That night, after he fell asleep, I went to the basement. We have this unfinished storage area down there, full of boxes and old furniture and Daniel's work equipment that I was never supposed to touch. The laptop was in a box marked Broken Electronics Recycle, exactly where the message said. It wasn't broken. It hummed to life immediately, screen-casting blue light across the concrete floor. The password worked, and I found my calendar, not the sanitized version on my phone, the real one. 3 years of Thursdays, meticulously documented, with names I didn't recognize, addresses, notes in my own voice, my own typos, my own desperate energy. Met with Sarah Kay today. She believes me about the financial records. Says the pattern is clear. He's been draining the account since 2019. I need to get copies before he notices. Sarah says I should go to the police. But what if they don't believe me? What if he convinces them I'm confused again? I need physical proof. Something he can't explain away. Found the second phone. He has a whole drawer of them. Different numbers, different identities. Who is this man? The last entry was dated 3 days before my accident. I'm leaving tomorrow. Sarah found me a place. I have the documents. I have enough for a lawyer. He doesn't know I know about the. It ended there. I sat in that basement until 4 a.m., reading and rereading. Every entry felt like a memory trying to surface, familiar but distant, like a song I'd heard in a dream. The woman with red hair was Sarah. Sarah Kowalski, a forensic accountant I'd apparently hired. We'd met at a coffee shop called the Bean Counter. She'd believe me. I searched for her online, found her firm's website, called the number the next morning from my car, parked 3 blocks from our house so Daniel wouldn't see the call history. Kowalski Accounting, this is Sarah. I froze. It was her, the woman from the photos. Hi, I said. This is Emily, Emily Foster. I don't know if you remember me, but the silence on the other end was absolute. Then, Emily, where are you? Are you safe? I think so. I'm in my car. I found my laptop, the one with the calendar. I don't remember writing any of it, but it's my writing and Stop. Her voice was sharp, professional. Don't tell me your location over the phone. Do you have the documents? The ones we discussed? I don't know. I don't remember. Sarah, what happened to me? The accident. Emily, she paused. There was no accident. At least not the kind he told you about. You were found at the bottom of a ravine off Highway 26. No skid marks, no mechanical failure. Just you, unconscious. He was the one who found you, even though you were supposed to be meeting me that morning. My hands were shaking so hard I dropped the phone. When I picked it up, Sarah was still talking. Been trying to reach you for 3 years. Every time I call, he answers. Says you're resting. Says your memory is too fragile for stressful conversations. I drove to your house once. He met me at the door with a copy of a restraining order. Said you'd filed it against me, that I was harassing you. I wouldn't. I know. I looked it up. The signature was forged, but by the time I proved it, you'd stopped responding to anyone. Your mother called me, crying, asking why you'd cut her off. I didn't know what to tell her. I hadn't spoken to my mother in 3 years. Daniel said she was toxic, that she'd been undermining my recovery, that it was better if we kept our distance until I was stronger. Emily, listen to me. You were right about everything. The money, the fake identities, the other women, there's more than you knew. But you can't confront him. Not yet. He's too good at this. You need to. My phone died. Just died. 60% battery and then black screen. When it rebooted, the call wasn't in my history. Sarah's number wasn't in my contacts. I drove home in a daze. Daniel's car was in the driveway. He was supposed to be at work. He met me at the door, smiling, always smiling. Emily. I was getting worried. Where have you been? I went for coffee, alone. His eyes flicked to my hands. I was still holding the laptop. What's that? Old computer, from the basement. I thought I could get it working. He took it from me, gently, like he was handling something fragile. Let me look at it. You know, electronics can be frustrating. Remember what happened with the toaster? I didn't remember anything about a toaster. That night, I checked my phone. The mysterious app was gone again. No messages, no history of Sarah's call. If I hadn't been sitting in my car, heart still racing, I might have convinced myself I'd imagined the entire conversation. But I had one thing left. One thing he couldn't erase. I'd written Sarah's number on my hand while we talked. In pen, smudged but readable. I still have it. I check it every morning, terrified it will fade. Terrified I'll wake up tomorrow having forgotten everything again. I didn't wait for another message. I couldn't afford to. The next Thursday, I followed him. I told myself I was being paranoid, that there would be a reasonable explanation for everything. That Daniel, despite all the evidence, despite the calendar and the photos and Sarah's voice on the phone, was just a man with a demanding job and a wife with memory problems. I almost turned back 3 times. At the first red light, at the highway entrance, at the exit ramp that led to a part of town I didn't recognize. But I kept going. He drove for 40 minutes, past the business district, past the industrial zone, into a neighborhood of old Victorians, most of them converted to apartments or left to decay. He parked in front of a greenhouse on Oak Street, number 442. The paint was peeling, the porch sagged, but the curtains in the upstairs window were new, expensive, drawn tight. I parked half a block away and waited. 2 hours, 3. I was about to leave, about to convince myself it was a work thing, a client meeting, something innocent, when the door opened. Daniel came out, and he was crying. Not dramatic tears, the quiet, broken kind, shoulders shaking, face in his hands. He sat on the porch steps for 10 minutes, just weeping. Then he got in his car and drove away. I should have followed him. I know that now, but I was frozen. Because that wasn't the face of a man having an affair. That wasn't guilt or excitement or the rush of deception. That was grief. Pure, unfiltered grief. And it terrified me more than anything else. I waited until dark. Then I walked up to the house, tried the door, unlocked. The smell hit me first. Lavender and dust. Old wood. Something else underneath, something metallic and wrong. The first floor was empty. Bare floors, bare walls, a single folding chair facing the window. The second floor was where I found them. The photographs, hundreds of them, covering every wall, floor to ceiling. No frames, just taped or pinned directly to the plaster. All of me, but not recent me. Me from before. Me with Sarah at the coffee shop. Me holding documents I didn't recognize. Me screaming at Daniel in what looked like a parking garage. Me, this one made me physically ill. Me unconscious in a hospital bed. Tubes everywhere. Daniel leaning over me with an expression I couldn't read. And in the center of the wall, the largest photo, me and Daniel at our wedding. But someone had drawn over my face, over and over, until the paper tore, until I was just a white hole in the center of the image. Below it, a single word written in red marker. Sorry. I heard the floorboard creak behind me. I spun around. Empty hallway, shadows. But when I turned back to the photos, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. A door, half hidden behind a collage of my face in various expressions of distress. It led to an attic, low-ceilinged, hot, filled with boxes. And in the center, a table. On the table, a box. In the box, phones. Dozens of phones. All powered on. All showing the same screen. A text conversation with a contact named E. I picked one up, opened the thread. It was me, texting myself, or someone pretending to be me. The timestamps went back 3 years. He's watching my phone now. I have to be careful. But I need you to remember, the accident was staged. He ran me off the road. I saw him in the rearview mirror. I woke up in the hospital and he was there, holding my hand, telling me how lucky I was. I played along, I had to. But I started recording everything, hiding evidence, talking to Sarah. If you're reading this, I succeeded. I got you to find this place. But you won't remember coming here. You never do. There's something in the tea he gives you, something that makes you forget. I've tried to stop drinking it, but he watches too closely. The only way out is to pretend you don't know. Act confused. Act grateful. And when you have enough strength, run. Don't pack. Don't say goodbye. Just run. The last message was dated yesterday. I don't know how many times I've written this. I don't know if any version of me has ever made it out. But I have to try. I have to believe that one of us will remember. One of us will survive. I dropped the phone. It clattered against the table, screen cracking. And then I heard it. The front door opening. Footsteps on the stairs. Emily, Daniel's voice. Warm, concerned, terrifying. Emily, are you up there? I looked around wildly. No other exit, no place to hide. But there, under the table, a vent. Small, but maybe. I squeezed through. Crawled through dust and cobwebs. Heart hammering so loud I was sure he could hear it. The vent led to a side exterior wall. I kicked out the grate and fell onto the roof of the back porch, then to the ground. I ran. 3 blocks. 5. Until I found a gas station, went into the bathroom, and threw up until there was nothing left. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. The woman staring back was wild-eyed, filthy, awake in a way I hadn't been in years. I had to go back. I knew that. The phones were evidence. The photos were evidence. Sarah could help me, but I needed something physical, something undeniable. But when I returned the next morning, barely slept, barely sane, the house was empty, not just empty, gutted, walls stripped, floors bare. The vent I'd crawled through was sealed with fresh plaster. Daniel was at home when I arrived, making breakfast, smiling. Rough night. You were gone when I woke up. I went for a walk. Early. He nodded, flipped a pancake. You should be careful. The neighborhood isn't safe before dawn. You know how you get confused. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the perfect husband, the patient caregiver, the man who'd been slowly erasing me for 3 years. And I smiled back. You're right, I'm sorry, I had this strange dream. About a greenhouse. His hand froze, just for a second. The spatula hovering over the pan. Then, dreams are funny things, especially with your history. We ate breakfast. I drank the orange juice he poured me. I didn't touch the tea. I need to tell you about the forgetting. It's not gradual. It's not like memories fading over time. It's sudden, violent, like someone hitting a delete key in my brain. I remember finding the house on Oak Street. I remember the phones, the messages, the vent, the escape. But I don't remember driving home. I don't remember the days after. The next clear memory I have is Daniel handing me a cup of tea for your nerves and telling me I'd been having nightmares again, that I'd woken up screaming about greenhouses and photographs. I didn't believe him. I couldn't. I had the memory of the attic, sharp and clear, the dust in my lungs, the crack of the phone screen. But when I checked my phone, there were no calls to Sarah, no photos of the house, no location history showing I'd been anywhere near Oak Street. And when I tried to find the house again, drove to the neighborhood, walked the streets for hours, I couldn't. The addresses jumped from 440 to 446. No 442. No green Victorian. Just an empty lot with a condemned sign dated 2 years ago. I started keeping a journal. Hidden. Multiple copies. I wrote down everything, every suspicion, every discovery in code. In case he found them, he found them. Not all of them. I got better at hiding things. Inside the lining of my coat, under a loose floorboard, in a safety deposit box he didn't know about. Sarah helped me set it up, in one of my brief windows of clarity. But he found enough, and every time, the conversation was the same. Emily, you're not well. These paranoid delusions? They're not delusions. I found the phones. I talked to Sarah. Sarah Kowalski, the woman who was stalking you, the one who forged documents in your name. She was helping me. Helping you what? Destroy our marriage? Convince you that your own husband was trying to hurt you? And then he'd show me the evidence, the restraining order. You filed it, don't you remember? The police reports. She broke into our house, Emily. The emails from my mother begging me to stop listening to troublemakers and take my medication. I didn't remember any of it, but there it was, in black and white. Official documents, my signature or something close enough. A paper trail showing I was unstable, paranoid, prone to violent delusions. The worst part? I couldn't be sure he was wrong. What if Sarah was manipulating me? What if the house was a hallucination? What if I'd written those messages to myself during some psychotic break, some symptom of the brain injury I was told I had? I started recording myself, video diaries on my phone. I showed them to him once, desperate for him to understand. He watched, nodding, concerned. Then he opened his laptop and showed me his own videos of me, screaming, throwing things, accusing him of impossible crimes, apologizing afterward, crying, saying I didn't know what was real anymore. I didn't want to show you, he said gently. But you need to understand. This is what happens when you stop taking your medication, when you listen to people who want to hurt you. When did I stop? 3 times now. Each time you hide the pills. Each time you find someone new to convince you that I'm the enemy. He took my hands. Emily, I love you. I've always loved you. But you're sick. And I need you to let me help you. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. It would be so much easier. To be sick, to be cared for, to let go of the exhausting work of doubting everything. But then I'd find another message. Another phone hidden in a place I didn't remember hiding it. Another note in my own handwriting, warning me not to trust the man sitting across from me at breakfast. The loop continued. Find evidence, confront reality, forget. Wake up to a normal life with a concerned husband and a cup of tea that would make the confusion fade. I don't know how many times I've done this. The messages reference previous attempts. 3rd time, one said. 5th cycle, said another. You're getting closer, said the most recent, dated 3 weeks ago. Don't drink the tea. Hide this phone. Remember the number 442. The house that doesn't exist. The address that jumps from 440 to 446. Unless you're looking for it on a Thursday. I figured it out, I think. Thursdays are when he's weakest. When his control slips. When he goes to the greenhouse that only exists on Thursdays. Don't ask me how, I don't understand it either. And griefs. For what? For me? For the version of me he destroyed? For the life we could have had if he hadn't decided to unmake me? I followed him again. 3rd Thursday in a row. This time, I was ready. I didn't bring my phone. He tracks it. I borrowed a car from a neighbor I barely know, someone who thinks I'm just a quiet woman with an overprotective husband. The house was there, 442 Oak Street. Green paint, peeling porch, drawn curtains. Exactly as I remembered. Exactly as it wasn't on Fridays. I didn't go inside, not this time. I watched from the coffee shop across the street, the bean counter, Sarah's and my old meeting place. Still open, still serving terrible espresso. He stayed for 2 hours. When he left, he looked different, lighter, like he'd left something of himself behind. I waited an hour, then I crossed the street. The door was locked this time, but there was a key under the mat, the most obvious hiding spot, almost like he wanted someone to find it. The inside had changed. The photos were gone from the walls. The attic door was sealed. But on the table where the phones had been, there was a single envelope. My name on the front. My handwriting. Inside, a letter. Dated 3 years ago, the day before my accident. Emily, it began. If you're reading this, I failed. I didn't get away. He's done something to me. Something that makes me forget. And I'm running out of time to stop it. But I'm leaving this for you. The version of me that comes after. The one who keeps waking up confused and grateful and slowly disappearing. Here's what you need to know. Daniel isn't my husband. Not legally. We never filed the paperwork. I found out 3 months ago when I tried to update my passport. He stopped me. Said there was a problem with my citizenship status. Said he'd handle it. He's been handling everything. My money, transferred to accounts I can't access. My relationships, systematically destroyed with lies about my mental health. My identity, erased and rewritten so many times I don't know what's real. The accident wasn't an accident. I was leaving. Had the documents, the tickets, the plan. He found out, ran me off the road. And when I woke up, he was there with a new story, a new history, a new Emily who needed him to survive. The tea contains something, I don't know what. Scopolamine, maybe, or something experimental. It makes me compliant, suggestible. It lets him rewrite my memories, my personality, my reality. I've tried to stop drinking it. I've tried to leave, but he's always there, always watching, always ready with a gentle smile and an explanation that makes me doubt my own sanity. The phones are my backup, my dead drop. Every time I start to remember, I write it down, hide it here, hope that the next version of me will be stronger, smarter, more resistant. This is my 5th attempt, the longest I've held on to clarity. If you're reading this, maybe you're the one who makes it out, or maybe you're just the next loop, the next Emily who finds this, believes it for a moment, then drinks the tea and forgets. Either way, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't save us. I'm sorry you'll have to feel this fear, this doubt, this horrible loneliness all over again. But I'm also hopeful, because you're reading this. That means the system isn't perfect. That means there's a crack in his control. Find Sarah. She has the financial records. Find my mother. Tell her I'm sorry I believed him about her. Find the greenhouse on Thursdays, when the walls between his reality and ours are thin. And whatever you do, don't drink the tea. Emily, the original, the one who was going to be free. I read it 3 times. Then I folded it carefully, put it in my bra. He never checks there. Too intimate, too respectful of my privacy. And I left. The house was empty when I turned back. Just an empty lot. Just a condemned sign. But I still have the letter. I check it every morning. I rewrite it from memory, hide copies everywhere. In the journal he knows about, I write fake entries. Feeling better today, Daniel is so patient. While in the real journal, the one hidden in the air vent, I write the truth. He's noticed. I can tell. He's been more attentive lately, more present on Thursdays. The tea has gotten stronger, or I'm getting weaker, or both. But I have something now that I didn't have before. I know I'm not crazy. I know there are other versions of me, fighting the same fight. I know that somewhere, in the gaps between his controlled reality, the truth is waiting. And I'm getting closer to finding it. I found her. Finally. It took months of Thursdays, of brief windows of clarity, of writing notes to myself and hiding them and hoping I'd find them again. She'd moved, changed her name, gone into hiding after Daniel, your husband, she still calls him, though she knows better. had her investigated, audited, harassed until she lost her firm, her savings, her credibility. But she kept the files. We met in a parking garage, neutral ground. She wouldn't let me see where she lived. You look terrible, she said, not unkindly. You look free, she laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. Free? Sure. I live in a studio apartment paid for by a client who doesn't remember hiring me. I work retail. I check over my shoulder every time I leave the house. But yeah, free. She gave me a USB drive. Small, encrypted, password protected, with a phrase I'd used in college. A detail I didn't remember telling her, but apparently had. Everything I found, the financial records, the property purchases. The other women. Other women, Sarah's face went careful. You didn't get that far, did you, in your investigations? I found the house, the phones, the letter I wrote to myself. But not the basement. I shook my head. She took a deep breath. Emily, Daniel has been doing this for a long time. You're not the first. There were others. Women with similar stories. Accidents, memory problems, dependence on a loving, patient partner. I felt the ground shift under me. How many? 3 that I could confirm. Possibly more. The pattern is, he chooses women with no family or estranged from family. Women with some history of mental health treatment, something he can use. He builds a relationship, isolates them, and then what? He replaces them. Not physically, he doesn't kill them. He erases them, rebuilds them, creates a version that loves him, needs him, can't survive without him. The T. And other things. Suggestion, sleep deprivation, controlled environments. There's research on this. Coercive control, extreme gaslighting, induced dissociation. He's not just abusive, Emily. He's experimenting, perfecting a technique. I thought of the photos on the walls, the torn wedding picture, the word sorry scrawled in red. He feels guilty, I said slowly. That's why he goes to the house, to grieve, for who he destroys. Or for who he can't quite create, Sarah said. The perfect partner, the perfect dependent. Someone who loves him completely, without question, without self. I looked at the USB drive in my hand. Small, light, heavy with everything it contained. What do I do with this? Take it to the FBI. The local police are useless. He's got connections, or he's convinced them you're unstable. But the financial crimes cross state lines. And the other investigations. They're building a case. Slowly. Why slowly? Because he's careful. Because the victims can't testify. Because by the time anyone realizes what's happening, the woman he targeted has become someone else. Someone who defends him, who loves him, who would never betray him. I thought of the tea, the gentle mornings, the feeling of grateful safety that washed over me every time I accepted his version of reality. How do I know I'm not her? I asked. The one who loves him. How do I know this? Right now, talking to you is real. Sarah reached out, touched my hand. Her fingers were cold, trembling. You don't, she said. That's the hell of it. You never know. You just have to choose to believe that the version of you who fights is the real one, even when everything in you wants to surrender. I didn't go to the FBI. Not yet. I went home, I made dinner. I sat across from Daniel and I watched him eat, and I tried to see the monster Sarah had described. I saw my husband, kind eyes, tired smile, the man who'd held my hand through 3 years of recovery, who'd never once raised his voice, who'd been so patient with my episodes and my paranoia. I saw the man I loved, or the man I'd been made to love. I don't know which. After dinner, he brought me tea. Chamomile, he said, for my nerves. I'd been so agitated lately. I held the cup, felt the warmth, smelled the familiar sweetness that meant safety, comfort, forgetfulness. Daniel, I said, what happened to your first wife? He didn't flinch, didn't pause, just looked at me with that perfect, concerned expression. You know I was never married before you, Emily. We discussed this. We discussed what you told me, but I found a photograph. In the house on Oak Street, before it disappeared. You and a woman, at a courthouse. She was wearing white. For just a moment, less than a heartbeat, something flickered. something cold and calculating and utterly unlike the man I knew. Then it was gone. The smile returned. Warm, patient. Emily, you're having one of your episodes. The house on Oak Street doesn't exist. I've shown you the property records. I've taken you there, remember? Just an empty lot. I remember what you showed me. I remember what I was made to remember. I set the cup down, the tea untouched. I'm not drinking it tonight. His expression didn't change, but something in the room did. The air went still, heavy. Emily, you need your medication. You know what happens when you skip doses. I know what happens when I drink the tea. I forget. I become this. I gestured at myself, at the compliant, confused woman I'd been for 3 years. I become who you want me to be. Who I want you to be is healthy, happy, free from these delusions that torture you. Free from myself, you mean. Free from memory, free from the truth. He stood, slowly, carefully, like he was approaching a frightened animal. Emily, I love you. I've always loved you. But you're sick. And I need you to let me help you. He reached for the tea, picked it up, held it out to me. Drink this. We'll call Dr. Chen in the morning. Get your meds adjusted. You'll feel better, I promise. I looked at the cup, at the pale liquid inside, at my reflection, distorted, fragmented. And I made a choice. I knocked it from his hand. The cup shattered, tea sprayed across the floor, darkening the wood. The smell rose up, sweet, cloying, wrong. Daniel looked at the mess, then at me, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw his real face. You stupid bitch, he said, quietly, almost gently. You always break eventually. They all do. I just have to wait. He moved fast, faster than I expected, his hand around my throat, pushing me back against the wall, not choking, controlling, pinning. You think you're special? You think you're the first to wake up? I've rebuilt you 5 times, Emily. 5. And every time, you find the phones. You find the house. You think you're clever, but you're just predictable. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but stare into his eyes, flat, empty, hungry. Sarah thinks she's helping you. She's not. She's just giving you enough rope to hang yourself. Enough evidence to make your delusions seem real. By the time I'm done, you'll be begging for the tea, begging to forget. Begging to be my good girl again. He leaned closer, whispered in my ear, and you will be. You always are. He let go, stepped back, smoothed his shirt. The transformation was instantaneous. Concerned husband, worried caregiver, nothing to see here. I'm going to clean this up, he said softly. Then I'm going to make you more tea. And you're going to drink it, because the alternative is worse, for both of us. He turned away, bent to pick up the broken cup. And I ran. I'm writing this from a motel room 6 hours away. I don't know what city. I don't care. I have the USB drive. I have Sarah's number. I have the letter I wrote to myself. Memorized, repeated until it's etched into something deeper than memory. I don't know if I'll make it to the FBI. I don't know if I'll survive the night. He's looking for me. He's always looking, always watching, always one step ahead. But I have something I didn't have before. I have proof that I'm real. That the woman who fights, who doubts, who refuses the tea, that woman exists. That she's me. That she's been me all along, buried under layers of chemical compliance and psychological manipulation. The forgetting isn't permanent. I've tested it. Gone 3 days without the tea, and memories are surfacing. Sharp, painful, real. The coffee shop where I met Sarah. The arguments with Daniel before I knew what he was. The night I tried to leave, the car chase, the crash. He ran me off the road. I saw his headlights in my rearview mirror. I heard him calling 911, reporting an accident, claiming I'd been driving erratically, that I'd threatened to hurt myself. By the time the ambulance arrived, I was unconscious. And when I woke up, he was there, my savior, my husband, the only one who understood my damaged brain. He'd already started the story, already planted the seeds of my dependency. And I, damaged, confused, desperate for someone to trust, I let him. But not anymore. I'm going to finish this. One way or another. I'm going to find the other women, the ones who came before. the ones who might still be trapped in his web. I'm going to give Sarah's evidence to someone who can use it. I'm going to make sure that Daniel, whatever his real name is, never does this to anyone again. And if I forget again, if he finds me, rebuilds me, makes me his again, then I'll write another letter, hide another phone, trust another version of myself to keep fighting. Because that's who I am, who I've always been. Not his creation, not his victim. Me. I'm writing this from a motel room 6 hours away. I don't know what city. I don't care. I have the USB drive. I have Sarah's number. I have the letter I wrote to myself. Memorized, repeated until it's etched into something deeper than memory. I don't know if I'll make it to the FBI. I don't know if I'll survive the night. He's looking for me. He's always looking, always watching, always one step ahead. But I have something I didn't have before. I have proof that I'm real, that the woman who fights, who doubts, who refuses the tea, that woman exists, that she's me, that she's been me all along, buried under layers of chemical compliance and psychological manipulation. The forgetting isn't permanent. I've tested it. Gone 3 days without the tea, and memories are surfacing, sharp, painful, real. The coffee shop where I met Sarah, the arguments with Daniel before I knew what he was, the night I tried to leave, the car chase, the crash. He ran me off the road. I saw his headlights in my rearview mirror. I heard him calling 911, reporting an accident, claiming I'd been driving erratically, that I'd threatened to hurt myself. By the time the ambulance arrived, I was unconscious. And when I woke up, he was there, my savior, my husband, the only one who understood my damaged brain. He'd already started the story, already planted the seeds of my dependency. And I, damaged, confused, desperate for someone to trust, I let him. But not anymore. I'm going to finish this, one way or another. I'm going to find the other women, the ones who came before, the ones who might still be trapped in his web. I'm going to give Sarah's evidence to someone who can use it. I'm going to make sure that Daniel, whatever his real name is, never does this to anyone again. And if I forget again, if he finds me, rebuilds me, makes me his again, then I'll write another letter, hide another phone, trust another version of myself to keep fighting. Because that's who I am, who I've always been, not his creation, not his victim. Me, Emily, the one who remembers, even when remembering hurts, Emily, the one who remembers, even when remembering hurts.